And after that, here black develops his knight to a6. But wait, why not on c6? Suppose if black develops his knight to c6, now white can continue by pushing d5, attacking this knight. And after, suppose if he takes, then after takes, you can see this knight is attacked, and obviously black cannot go back to knight to b8, and if knight to b4, then white can push a3. So instead he will go for this knight to a5, but then white will go for a3, and then he might definitely castle, and maybe he can also push b4 in future. By this you can see this position will be better for white. Okay, so in the actual game, after knight to a6, and now it's better for white to develop this queen to c2, or maybe white can also go for h4, but instead he decides to capture on c5. And the problem with that move is, after bishop takes c5, you can see this automatically activates the black pieces, and now black is targeting this f2 square. And that's an inaccuracy. Instead, he must consider to defend this f2 pawn by this rook. But why? We will see this later, but for now, here suppose if white protect this by his rook, now black can continue this by capturing on c3, and after rook takes c3, and if bishop to b4, he tries to attack our rook, simply rook to d3, and if black again attack our rook by suppose knight to c5, now comes rook to d4, attacking this bishop. And here suppose if black brings back this bishop to a5, now we can simply push b4, and black has to lose one of his piece. And let's go back to this move, which is rook to d4, and suppose if he tries to defend this by pushing this pawn to a5, which looks good, but simply a3, and again black has to lose this bishop. So that's why after this move, which is rook to d4, here the only option for black is to bring back this knight to a6, and by this you can see that white successfully activated this rook, and this position is completely better for white. Okay, so in the actual game, after e3, okay, so now white cannot capture this knight with the rook due to the threat of bishop to b4, which will fork both our rooks. So now I think you all understand that why I am saying to move this rook to f1. And since white is now forced to capture this knight with the pawn, white will not get any chance to activate this rook, and by this the position is completely equal. Okay, so some of you might be thinking that why white didn't counterattack with this move, bishop to c5. This is because suppose if bishop to b5, yeah, but we are also attacking the black rook. So what's the problem? The problem is that suppose if bishop takes c1, then bishop takes e8, and after takes and yeah, some of you be like, bro, everything is good, right? But now black gets an opportunity to develop this knight to c5, which is targeting these weak points in the white position, which was not possible before all of these exchanges. Basically, this exchanges gives black an opportunity to develop this knight, which was a few moves ago was undeveloped. Okay, so in the actual game, after rook to c2, okay, so clearly you can see that here white wants to capture this knight so that he can capture this bishop in the next move. So that's why here black immediately brings back his bishop to c2. Okay, so basically Carlsen wants to place this rook on g8 so that he can capture this f6 pawn in the next move by this bishop. So to stop this, black blocks the route of this rook by playing bishop to e8. And now it's better for black to either bring this king to f5 or maybe bring back this rook to d6 so that he can guard these important queenside pawns. But instead, he made a mistake by pushing f5, leaving the defense of this important e5 square. And now white can bring this bishop to e5 and then to this b7 so that he can target this a7 pawn. But instead of this, here Carlsen decides to bring this rook to b8 first, creating some pressure over these pawns. And now it's better for black to bring this bishop to c6 so that it can create some defense over this weak f5 pawn. But instead he made a mistake and goes for king to f7. And now Carlsen takes advantage of this. He finds the best move e4. And here Carlsen sacrificed his pawn by playing e6 so that he can create an attack over this g7 pawn by playing bishop to e5. And after that, finally Carlsen gives a discover check by rook to e7, and you can see in the next move no one can protect this rook. So that's why in this position Tiviakov resigned. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.